name is Richard Powers. I'm an associate professor at the Rotman School of Management, and today I'm with David Beatty, director of the Clarkson Center for Business Ethics and Board Effectiveness. Today we're talking about activism. David?
Yeah, this is probably the most significant change in corporate governance in our lifetimes. People studying the company from outside and being prepared to come in and talk to you as chairman of the board or a director about what you're doing right and what you might do differently.
You mentioned that there's a number of activist funds out there right now looking at companies and looking for opportunities.
The estimate is 330 of them, and they have an embedded capital of maybe 300 billion. So these are big, sophisticated, external strategists looking at your business all day, every day, figuring out whether you're doing the right thing or not.
David, this would not have been on a board's agenda a few years ago.
Absolutely right, Rick. 5 years ago, you wouldn't know what an activist was. Today, they're transforming every board of every publicly traded company in North America and spreading to Europe and Asia.
In Canada, we've had a couple of notable cases, the CP Rail case and Agrium last year.
Yeah, well, Agrium fought them off. It was a company called JANA that appeared from the United States. That board succeeded in saying no. The CP board against Pershing Capital, Bill Ackman, they gave up in the end and gave the company largely over to his leadership, and it's actually transformed the share price performance, interestingly.
So this really has an effect on directors, doesn't it?
It has a huge effect, because it really means at the end of the day, if you're not doing your job as a director of a company, somebody else is going to do it for you. And you've never had that external discipline before in boards of directors.
You know, in companies, we talk about investor relations. That's changed as well, hasn't it?
Used to be the function of management to look after whoever we thought might be a shareholder. Today, it's a function of the board to identify, know, and understand the biggest shareholders of the company. So companies typically now identify their chair as their chief investment relations officer, which is brand new and revolutionary.
So it is not uncommon today to see directors meeting with large shareholders.
Andy Bryant, the chair of Intel, meets with the top 3 shareholders every quarter and is open to phone calls at any time from any large shareholder.
With the large holdings of institutional investors in Canada, it wouldn't be a very long list, would it?
It's not a long list at all, no.
We talk about activism, David, but we also have to be aware of the mobilization of passive investors as well.
Absolutely, Rick. If there's 330 activist firms, they might represent, I don't know, $300 billion in investable capital. But they've now mobilized people who were previously passive. You think of a mutual fund. They never voted on any of these issues. Now these activists go around and they say to the mutual funds, listen, you should be involved in this as well. It's going to affect your performance. So we've moved from their 300 billion of investable assets to probably 3 trillion. This is world changing. So you've got to be aware of the fact that people investing in you are no longer quiet. They're alive, they're awake, they're aware, and they're looking at what you're doing, using the information coming from the activist investors.
So is it fair to say that if directors aren't attuned to this, that their jobs are really at risk?
Absolutely right. If you're not going to do your job as a value-added director, somebody else will do it for you. Period.
Thanks very much, David.